Creating a CLI in Go is really straightforward. Therefore, in this first part of this small mini series, we are going to quickly create the setup and a basic root command for our custom CLI in Go with Cobra. So let's just get straight into it and clarify the question, what even is Cobra and what even is a CLI? Now, according to the GitHub README file, Cobra is just a library for creating powerful modern CLI applications. It just provides us a really simple interface to create CLI interfaces similar to Git or Go tools. But now you might ask yourself, what even is a CLI? Simply put, a CLI or command line interface is just a text-based way to interact with software and operating systems by really simply typing commands into a terminal or console. So really there's no real UI or visual component, it just allows users to execute tasks and automate processes through direct text input. So let's just get right into the code. Now what I have here is a really basic and small setup for a simple Go project. And what we're going to do first is we are going to create two files. The first file is the main.go file, which we already have. And this file will mainly just include the function that we will call to execute the root command. And this root command actually lives inside of a root.go file. So what we can create really simply is maybe just a cmd directory right here, and then we can create a root.go file, and then we will define the package up here, right? And then let's just create our execute function right here. Really simple, nothing really special so far. And then let's just remove this print line right here. And then what we're going to call is cmd.execute, because obviously we have the cmd directory or package or module, and then the execute function inside it, which is inside of the root.go file. Now, maybe we'll refactor this in a later video, but for now, this is fine. Let's just save this and then we can basically focus on the root.go file. Now, if we're going to take a look at the go.mod file, we can actually see that we don't have any library. So we need to install the Cobra CLI or the Cobra library first. So let's just get into the terminal and then we are going to say go get and then -u, and then we are going to paste in Cobra here with the latest version. And now it's going to install Cobra, and right here we have it. Obviously we need to use it. So let's just exit out of the go.mod file, and then we're going to focus on the root.go file right here. Alright, so first things first, I think it is really important to actually create a root command. So what we can do, or what is a common pattern in Cobra, is to actually define this on the kind of top of the file or on top of the actual command. So we're going to say root cmd right here, and then we're going to say Cobra. Right, we're going to import that, and then we're going to use .command. And right here we can actually define the options of the command. So for example, what is basically the description and what is like the alias, for instance. So we can define the properties of the command right here. For instance, the description of the command, or even like how it should be used. So we can say use, right? And then we can say getsize. And this right here then is just the command that we will use to execute the CLI, right? And because this is the root command, this will be actually the first kind of word we have to write when we want to execute this CLI. Now, a quick explanation here for this root cmd. Like I said earlier, this just represents the base command when called without any kind of sub commands. And we are going to implement a getsize CLI to really scan a directory and display the size of files. And really it can optionally highlight files that exceed a specified size threshold. I know this is a really simplified CLI, but really this should give you a good starting point to just get going with Cobra and CLIs in Go. Alright, besides the use property right here, what we can also define is the short text, right, which is just the short description shown in the help output, right? And then we can also define the long description right here, and it's just a longer message shown in the help and then getsize, for instance, output. So what we can do is, for the short version, we will just say a simple directory size checker CLI tool, and then I will just paste in the long format, right? So it is just a nicer description, also with two example cases right here, and this is actually what we will implement in the next episode of this mini series, but this is how it could look like. And then another property of this command struct is actually the persistent pre-run function we have right here. Then we'll define func, and then we have the Cobra command right here and the arguments, which is of type slice string. Now this persistent pre-run just runs before this commands or any kind of child commands run function, unless a subcommand defines its own persistent pre-run function. In that case, the subcommands hook really replaces the parents entirely rather than just running in addition to it. And you can actually use this right here for setup that should apply across all commands by default. So just as an example, what we can do is we can add a verbose flag kind of right here. So we will just say verbose bool, and then in persistent pre-run, what we can do if verbose, we're just going to print line something, and we're going to say verbose mode enabled, right? And now the question actually is, how do we initialize this verbose flag? Because obviously the user or the kind of developer that uses this CLI should be able to enable this verbose flag with the CLI itself. And we can actually accomplish this by using the init function. So let's just say func init. Now this init function just runs automatically when the CMD package in this case is loaded, so before the main function actually executes. So the Go runtime really imports here the CMD package, and before any kind of other code runs, Go just automatically calls every init function in that package. I've made a video solely about the init function, so feel free to check out this video as well. But with that out of the way, we can now kind of fill in this verbose flag by just saying root cmd.persistent flags.bool_var_p. Now this looks kind of weird, but I'll quickly explain what's going on in a minute. And then what we'll say is just the reference or the memory address of the verbose boolean we've defined earlier. Then we'll actually define a string, which we will call verbose. So this is actually the flag. And then a shorthand version, which is just v. Then the default value, which is false. I will quickly format this right here so that you can easily see what is going on. And then also a short description, so enable verbose output, for instance. And this is how we define these flags. And these persistent flags are really available to this command and all subcommands. And there are several methods similar, like bool_var_p. For instance, we have also bool_var without this weird p. But bool_var_p, you will actually see this in the Cobra CLI library. In this case, also accepts a shorthand letter that can be used with a single dash. Right, now that's cool. We've defined our first flag. Let's just fill in the execute function, and then we are done with this first video. So what we can do is we can just use the root cmd.execute function in itself, and as we can see, this returns a possible error, and we obviously want to handle this. So if error, so if we expect, or if we have an error in this case of the execute method, and then we're going to check if error is not equal to nil. So if there is any sort of error coming from the execute method, we're just going to say os_exit 1 for now, and then fmt.f println os.st error, and then error. So quick explanation for this fmt.f println thing just writes the error message to this standard error, which is in this case is str error, instead of the standard output. And the root cmd.execute is just a Cobra library method that runs the CLI command tree. So really what this means is just parses the command line arguments and flags, determines really which subcommands to use and invoke, and then runs that command's logic. So really it does all the heavy lifting for us, which is quite cool and quite helpful. Only we are going to just use the os.exit 1 here to just really terminate the program. And this 1 right here, or the exit code 1, conventionally just signals a failure. It is important to know though that this os.exit terminates the program instantly and really skips any deferred functions. Alright, let's just quickly run this right here. So what we can say is just go run main.go. Obviously we have to run this program, and what we'll see is basically a long form description of our getsize CLI. And what you will actually notice is when we run go run main.go and then say dash verbose, for instance, we will just see the long form description again. Why is this the case? So first of all, dash verbose is never really set or run, or this function that we have right here, this persistent pre-run, is never run, because nothing in the end is run, right? So there is no pre-run happening because there is no run. And that's why we will always see this long form description. And we can like temporarily fix this by just adding this run function right here. And then we can just say fmt.println CLI running, right? For instance, we will just replace this with the actual logic of our scan command or subcommand. And this run function is in the end really just a field in the Cobra command that just defines the actual function to execute when that command is invoked from the terminal, right? So it should kind of hold the core logic right here of this command. We also have run e, which we will possibly handle or use in the next video. But in the end, run e just returns an error, and this run function doesn't really return anything. And you will often see that most real-world CLI commands just use this run e function, so really errors can propagate up cleanly instead of really being handled in line with things like os.exit inside the function itself, right? So again, this run function executes the core logic, and this persistent pre-run function basically is only run when a command is actually executed. And by the way, there's also a function called pre-run, so this can get quite confusing if you don't know the differences. But generally, pre-run runs only for the exact command it's attached to, and it is basically not inherited by any child or subcommands. And then persistent pre-run, by contrast, is just meant to apply to the command and all of its subcommands. And this makes it just ideal for like shared setup logic like the verbose check we have right here. I mean, this is a really simple check, but hopefully you know what I mean. Now let's just remove this pre-run right here and let's run it again. So let's just say go run main.go, and what we will see is that the CLI is running. So we will actually see the correct print line right here. Let's just test the flag by just saying go run main.go and then -v. And then we will see that the verbose mode is enabled. We can also say double dash and then verbose. This is basically the same thing. And if we are going to go run main.go and add an unknown flag, what we will actually see is these things here, right? So kind of a help command. So we will see the flags. So dash dash help. We can also say, for instance, go run main.go dash dash help. And then we see the long form description again, and then the flags, and we have our flag -v and dash verbose right here. Also the short description, which is really nice. And you can see that it actually did this automatically, right? And I think Cobra is really cool and really nice to get going or to get quickly going with CLIs in Go. Now, obviously there's a lot more to it, but this was just the first really simple part of creating a custom CLI in Go with Cobra. Now, if you are interested in the second part of this mini series, then feel free to check out this video right here. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Have a lovely day and bye bye.